Discover how a mistaken invitation led her to an incredible billionaire wedding, a life-changing encounter. Emma's heart raced as she pulled the extravagant wedding invitation from her mailbox. It shimmered under the afternoon sun, gold lettering sparkling like a beacon of hope. The moment felt surreal. Her fingers brushed over the elegant flourishes. It was an invitation meant for someone else, but something deep inside urged her to attend. After all, every day was a struggle, and the thought of stepping into a world of wealth ignited a spark in her. With a quick glance at the clock and a soft reminder of Lily's dental appointment, Emma threw caution to the wind and slipped into her best dress. She smoothed down the fabric, a simple blue that somehow made her feel seen. Every day she balanced work, taking orders with a smile while juggling the energy of her vivacious daughter, but this was different. This was a chance to escape her relentless grind, if only for a night. Arriving at the grand venue, Emma was engulfed by opulence. Crystal chandeliers hung like glittering stars, shining on floral arrangements vibrant enough to make a rainbow blush. The laughter of well-heeled guests filled the air, each smile hiding stories of pressure and expectation. As Emma took a moment to breathe, excitement bubbled within her. Could this be her moment to shine? She navigated through the crowd with determination, her natural warmth beginning to draw people in. Conversations turned into laughter as she quickly found herself in the midst of the groom's family, each one straddling a line between privilege and personal sacrifice. The connection felt remarkably familiar, their lives mirrored her own struggles in their own ways. They shared those fleeting moments of vulnerability, and Emma's spirit resonated in their stories. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but lurking beneath the surface was the crushing weight of her deception. Emma felt her heart tighten. She didn't belong here. What would happen when they learned she was a mere waitress who stumbled into their world? With every laugh shared, her heart ached heavier at the thought of being exposed. As the night pulsated with energy, a sudden shift occurred. Emma's cover was shattered. Gasps echoed, heads turned. The familiar warmth of laughter turned to frosty whispers. The groom's family stood at a crossroads, either turn away from this enchanting commoner, or embrace the connection built on honesty and shared struggle. Emma felt the room buzzing with mixed emotions, and as the tension escalated, she stood frozen in a whirlwind of doubt. Was this the moment to unmask herself? Or would doing so uproot bonds that felt strangely profound? Time hung heavy in the air, and as the guests' eyes fixated on her, she grappled with her truth. The beating heart of her existence lay in her fierce love for Lily, but could she face the consequences of this brief but transformative escape into a world so beautiful and unfamiliar? Emma felt the weight of countless eyes on her, each glance a sharp reminder of the fine line she was walking. The glistening ballroom shifted around her, the lively chatter now an echoing silence in her ears. The laughter that had danced in the air moments ago transformed into whispered confessions and hushed speculation. She could feel their scrutiny, the confusion, and the need for an explanation. Her pulse quickened. Should she run? The instinct screamed at her to escape now, to leave this opulent reality that was never meant for her. Yet, something kept her rooted. Perhaps it was that connection she had forged with the family, or the warmth and acceptance they had offered her. There was a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in so long, as if they could see her beyond her facade. The bride, radiant in her delicate gown, broke through the crowd, a worried expression marring her otherwise joyous features. Emma's heart sank. This day was supposed to be about her. Emma? The bride queried, her voice soft, worry tinged with curiosity. Are you okay? The question hung in the air like a lifeline, and for a moment, Emma wavered. Could she be honest? I am just a waitress, she managed, her voice trembling slightly. I received this invitation by mistake. Gasps filled the space again, and Emma squeezed her eyes shut, her shame stinging. But then the bride stepped forward, a smile breaking through the concerns on her face. "Doesn't tea matter? We welcome you just the same. Come." She linked her arm with Emma's, almost possessively protective. As they moved together through the crowd, Emma felt the tension thaw. She watched as the groom's family began to soften. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations resumed, laughter bubbled back, and the unspoken unity returned. It was almost magical how quickly acceptance turned the tide. Perhaps she didn't need to hide any longer, the night flowed past in a surreal blur. Emma found herself seamlessly woven into the wedding festivities. Dance floors twinkled under the lights, plates filled with gourmet dishes glided around her like ethereal clouds. Each smile exchanged felt more genuine, and as she danced under twinkling lights, a new part of her began to emerge. But still, doubt nagged at her. What would happen when the clock struck 12? When the lights dimmed and reality set in again, would they remember the girl with no title? Would the connections made in this place of wealth and laughter fade away? In a moment of vulnerability, she spotted the groom watching from a distance, a contemplative expression on his face. Their eyes met across the room, and for the first time, she couldn't decipher what he was thinking. Was he disgusted? Intrigued? With emotions swirling, Emma's heart raced. There was a choice to be made. The night was a chance, a defining moment that could either build a bridge into this new world or shatter with her departure. As the evening crescendoed to a euphoric peak, she realized she was at a crossroads that could change everything. Just then, the groom began moving closer, determination etched in his features. What would he say? Would he confront her with the truth or offer her an unexpected chance at something more? Emma held her breath. The moment had come, and there would be no turning back. Emma's heart raced as the groom drew nearer. She could see his features sharpen under the shimmering lights, his presence commanding yet softly approachable. The laughter and music faded, the crowd parted like waves to make room for this moment. Everyone around seemed like a blur, their faces now mere shadows compared to the man approaching her. "Emma," he said, his voice firm but gentle, cutting through the din. "Can we talk?" Each word struck her like a lightning bolt. Did he know? Her mind spun. Did he find her out, exposed in this world where she didn't belong? Part of her wanted to flee, to escape into the safety of anonymity, but another part, the part that had felt acknowledged and valued tonight, tugged her forward. "Sure," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, as she managed a shaky smile. He gestured, and they stepped away from the crowd, finding a quiet alcove just outside the main ballroom. The air was suddenly cooler here, a stark contrast to the heat of the celebrations inside. "Listen, don't worry about what you said back there," he began, crossing his arms as if to shield her from judgment. "This wedding, it's overwhelming, and maybe it's gotten to people." Emma's breath hitched. "No, I mean it's true. I shouldn't be here." She couldn't help but shake her head, uncertainty pooling in her stomach. "I'm just a waitress, just someone who happened to receive an invitation by mistake." "Stop right there." He held her gaze, his blue eyes steady and deep. "It doesn't matter where you came from or what title you carry. You're here now. You're part of this night. I actually noticed you earlier. You're not just a waitress." His words danced around her like the cheerful music from inside. "You noticed me? But why? I'm just a nobody." "No," he insisted, edging closer. "You've got this light about you. You're real. You're authentic. That's what drew me in, Emma. Not your job or your past." Her heart swelled, confusion mixing with a flicker of hope. He was so earnest, so genuine. She couldn't decipher the tension in the room. Was it hope, fear, or something more? She found herself caught, teetering between the urge to run and the desire to stay. But as he continued to speak, she noticed the imperfections of his voice, the slight quiver as he shared more about himself, his worries about family expectations, and the weight of the world resting on his shoulders that night. I didn't expect to connect with anyone tonight, let alone a beautiful woman standing out among all the gold and glitter. Beautiful? The word whispered between them, weaving its way into her heart like a gentle caress. It felt almost surreal. Could he really mean it? Her past surfaced, the echoes of self-doubt and inadequacy lingering just beneath the surface. I didn't plan for this, he admitted, a shadow crossing his face. But I think what I feel, what I see in you, doesn't care what anyone else thinks. A moment passed, fragile yet intense, like the pause before a storm, as if they stood on the brink of something monumental. Just then, an explosion of laughter erupted from the ballroom, a reminder of the world still spinning outside their intimate bubble. What will happen next? Emma ventured, her voice shaky and vulnerable. Would he urge her back into that reality, or would he join her in whatever came next? His expression turned serious. What if we make a pact? Let us not worry about titles for tonight. Just two people trying to navigate this madness. Emma felt a surge of courage. Could they really do that? Just leave everything behind for a dance in the fabric of a dream? But just as she was about to speak, a sharp voice broke through, pulling them both back. Lucas! Where have you been? It was a cousin, concern evident on her face. The moment was shattered. Emma's heart sank as the weight of reality crashed back, threatening to drag her under. Would she be swept away in the tides of judgment once more? The groom turned to her, his expression a mix of determination and regret. We'll talk again. I promise. She watched him leave, the moment slipping like sand through her fingers. And now she stood there, caught between hope and despair. Would the promise of tomorrow hold, or was this night just a fleeting fantasy? With the ballroom's vibrant sounds around her and the tension still lingering in her chest, Emma felt the decision looming larger than life. Would she stay and fight for what she had just begun to explore, or would she slip back into obscurity once the night closed? Moment. The music pulsed with life as she lingered in the alcove, half listening to Lucas's cousin call out his name again. Emma felt the laughter from the ballroom echo in her chest, but it brought no warmth. Instead, a chill crept in, the thrill of earlier excitement draining away. She was still just a waitress hiding in a garden full of roses when she felt more like a thistle. With one last deep breath, she steeled herself and turned to leave the alcove. Maybe it was too much anyway. Maybe Lucas was right, they were both just trying to navigate through a whirlwind that didn't really welcome them. Caught up in a life that wasn't meant for them. But as she stepped back into the crowd, she spotted him across the room. Lucas stood there, a beacon of sincerity in a sea of glitz, his form illuminated by the swirling lights above. He was talking to a group of friends, laughing easily as if nothing had happened, nothing had shifted in the universe between them. But Emma felt it. The air crackled with unspoken words, an undercurrent of tension that kept drawing her toward him. The moment their eyes locked, a warmth spread through her chest. His gaze held something fierce, something that pulled at her, much like a tide. She hesitated, the weight of every doubt rushing back. What would it mean to let herself be seen? What would it feel like to be more than just a flyer in a pile of discarded wedding invitations? Positivity swelled inside her, drowning out the past doubts. She owed it to herself to confront this uncertainty head-on. She took a few tentative steps toward him, her heart pounding fiercely. As she crossed the dance floor, she unexpectedly caught snippets of conversations filled with laughter and well wishes, all centered around love and celebration. Couples twirled and swayed with effortless grace, pulling Emma into their world, filling her with a mix of envy and longing. Where are you going? A voice broke her thoughts, snapping her back to the gem of a moment she had chosen to chase. It was Lucas again, standing just a few feet away, a curiosity gleaming in his eyes. He stepped toward her with purpose, holding out a hand. Join me. For a heartbeat, she hesitated. It was the cliché moment, the fantasy of being swept off her feet that she had daydreamed of but never truly believed could happen. But knowing there was something real between them, something undeniable, she took just one step forward and placed her hand in his. He glanced down at their intertwined fingers and then back at her, a smile blooming on his lips. Good. I thought I might lose you there. A giggle escaped her lips, the tension beginning to lift. You can't lose someone who is still figuring out how to dance, she joked lightly, her heart now surging with excitement that he chuckled, his expression warm. Then let us figure it out together. As the music shifted to something softer, he led her to the center of the ballroom. It didn't matter that she had no idea how to dance, all that mattered was the way he looked at her, as though she was the only person in the room. A rush of daring ignited within her, just as they began to sway together, a flash of movement on the edge of the dance floor caught her eye. A woman approached, an unmistakable blend of elegance and authority. Emma felt her stomach drop. The bride. Emma knew her eyes most likely contained judgment that could shatter what little confidence she had built up in this moment. Lucas, the bride's voice rang out, slicing through the tender peace of the moment. What are you doing? You're needed over here. The ballroom froze for just a second, every eye turning to witness the disruption. Emma clenched Lucas's hand tighter, bracing for what would come next. This isn't over, he whispered fiercely, radiating energy that promised more than just a moment. The bride's eyes met Emma's briefly before she turned her full attention to Lucas. Suddenly, uncertainty replaced hope in Emma's heart. Would this powerful woman strip the joy from moments spent with him? Would she fill Lucas with expectations that would push him away? With the sound of swirling music again flooding her ears, Emma had to decide would she fight for this moment or let it slip away. Before she could answer, Lucas was turning back to her, and she knew she had to choose her next words carefully. Did she dare defy the future that seemed to loom over them? Lucas, she began, fighting the tremor in her voice. But the moment hung in the air like a promise. What would she say? Would it change her forever? The crowd waited with bated breath, and so did she, as the dance of fate spun on. Before Emma could find the words to express what was fluttering in her heart, Lucas's expression shifted. He wore a hint of concern, pinching the smile that had just touched his lips. The bride was approaching them with purpose, but it was the look in Lucas's eyes that made Emma's heart race even faster, not just with anxiety, but with an undeniable sense of possibility. Emma, wait, he said softly. You don't have to, but the bride interrupted again, tilting her head slightly in a way that screamed authority. Lucas, she repeated, everyone is waiting. We need you. Emma felt the edges of her world shrink, the noise from the crowd blurring into a distant hum. With each passing second, she felt as though she was fading, her reality bound to the expectations of a world that felt so out of reach. The heaviness in her chest returned, a stark contrast to the lightness that had just blossomed moments before. But beneath that weight, a spark of rebellion ignited. You go, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. I can manage on my own. Lucas's eyes widened slightly. Genuine surprise mixed with admiration crossed his face. Are you sure? Yes, she replied, her heartbeat now drumming in her ears. I want to be part of this. Not just a shadow lingering in the background. He hesitated, glancing back at his cousin, the bride, and then to the expectant guests. The moment stretched between them like a long echo. Emma could see the battle in his eyes, his loyalty and obligation wrestling with the connection they had just begun to forge. She gave him a small smile, one that she hoped conveyed understanding, freedom, and maybe even a touch of courage. You are something else, you know that? Lucas finally said, a grin breaking free as if it were a breath of fresh air. He leaned closer and whispered, I'll come back for you. Just wait for me. And with that, he released her hand reluctantly, quickly stepping away to join his family. Emma's heart twisted, but as he walked away, she felt a rush of empowerment surging through her. It was a choice she had made not to let the fears and uncertainties of others govern her fate. She took a deep breath, allowing herself to be immersed in the moment rather than fretting over what was to come. Rather than disappearing into the corners of the room, she found her flow, stepping forward to join the couples swirling gracefully on the dance floor. She was going to dance. With each movement, she felt lighter, the music twirling around her in vibrant waves. The crowd, rather than judging, seemed captivated by her spirit, their laughter and excitement fueling her confidence. Emma twirled with abandon, shedding the layers of doubt she had carried before. But just as she thought she was fully immersed in her newfound freedom, she felt a presence at her side. It was the bride, now close enough for Emma to see the fierce determination etched across her polished features. "What are you doing here?" the bride asked, leaning in closely, her voice a whisper laced with sharp curiosity. Feeling the pulse of urgency as though the atmosphere thickened, Emma stood her ground. "I'm dancing." "Just like everyone else," she replied, her voice ringing true and steady. The bride's expression flickered for just a heartbeat. Then, a grin unfurled, her stance relaxing as if she had less control than she'd assumed. "Well, then let us see if you can keep up," she challenged lightly, surprising Emma with an invitation. Emma's heart raced again, but this time with excitement. The moment felt surreal, a blend of competition and camaraderie that pulled her deeper into the night. With another twirl, she took the bride's hand, ready to see where this wild turn led. Little did she know, the subsequent set of dance steps would redefine everything she thought she knew about the night, herself, and the unexpected paths that lay ahead. As they spun through the joyous crowd, an unforeseen challenge awaited. Would she find her place not only on the dance floor but within this world she had doubted she belonged to? What if this night turned into something more? The air thickened with possibility as they danced forward, and Emma realized some invitations could change your life forever. Emma found herself swept into the vibrant world of swirling dresses and laughter, surrendering to the rhythm of the music that throbbed through the air. The bride led her through a series of complicated steps that brought exhilaration bubbling up from her core. There was a wildness in the way they danced, with the bride's energy igniting Emma's spirit. For the first time in a long while, she felt as if she were living, truly living. With each step, laughter erupted from the crowd, friends, family, and loved ones cheering for the unexpected duet. Emma pushed past her inhibitions, allowing the music to guide them. Moments turned into bursts of freedom, the kind she had read about in novels and dreamed of during long nights. She could see Lucas across the dance floor, his gaze fixed on her. He looked captivated, the momentary tension replaced by a warm smile of pride. Emma's heart swelled as if tethered to him, even from afar. In this lively octagon of music and glimpses of joy, the world dimmed to just him and her. As the song crescendoed, the bride pulled Emma closer, their movements synchronized beautifully like they had been rehearsing for years. "You've got fire," she shouted over the beat, her eyes alight with challenge. "Let us turn this party up." Taking a leap of faith, Emma attempted a spin, her hair flaring out behind her, catching the glow of colorful lights. She could feel the energy of the crowd at her back like a wave, crashing in rhythm with her movements. Cheers erupted, and the moment she landed, a jolt of confidence surged through her. "Now you're dancing!" the bride exclaimed. But just as she began to feel invincible, the music slowed. There was a shift in the atmosphere, the crowd pulling back slightly, creating space around them. Emma's heart began to race again, not with excitement, but with a dull apprehension as she glanced to find Lucas's face now clouded with concern. Before she could process the change, the bride repositioned them at the center of the floor. "Don't stop. Keep going," she encouraged, but Emma could sense something amiss. The energy around them felt charged, tinged with the weight of expectations that only moments ago had seemed to fade. An older gentleman, the bride's uncle, stepped forward. The music softened dramatically, his booming voice cutting through the air like a knife. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention." Emma exchanged a quick look with the bride, confusion knitting their brows. What was happening? Why would the festivities pause for a speech? The crowd grew quiet, and all eyes settled on the man. One glance at Lucas told her everything. Something was about to change. "Tonight, we celebrate," he continued, his voice echoing throughout the ballroom, "not only the union of two families but an announcement that will affect us all." Emma stood frozen. Doubts crept in, overshadowing the joy of the dance. This wasn't just about the bride and her perfect night now. Something was iridescent and foreboding all at once, hinting at secrets she wasn't aware existed. What could it be? She thought, her pulse quickening as the air thickened once again, pulling her senses taut. That was when the words she dreaded echoed around the room, altering the evening's course entirely. Tonight, we announce a new partnership, and with that comes important news. Lucas and I have been working on something incredible. Emma's heart dropped. Lucas? A partnership? The suddenly charged atmosphere twisted around her like a storm, whispering questions into her ears that refused to be ignored. As eyes turned toward her, she stood there, torn between the joy of the dance and the tension enveloping like a blanket. What awaited her at the end of this night? Little did she know that the truth lurking behind those intimate connections could unveil a reality much more complex than the wedding itself. Emma's breath caught in her throat as the room seemed to close in around her. The sound of clinking glasses and murmurs from the crowd faded into a dull roar, her heart racing so fast she felt lightheaded. She glanced frantically at Lucas, whose expression shifted from concern to determination as he met her gaze. "Emma," he called, stepping forward, but the uncle was still speaking. "Lucas and I have created a groundbreaking partnership that will launch tomorrow," he continued, eyes scanning the audience. "A new business venture. It's a chance for all of us to be a part of something extraordinary." A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd, but Emma remained rooted in place. Extraordinary? She thought bitterly. The joy of dancing felt worlds away. How could they be celebrating a venture so big, so planned, without her knowing? She felt the weight of their years together crash against her. Was this not something she should have been a part of? "Everyone will be invited to celebrate our grand opening. We'll be unveiling all the details and giving you a sneak peek of our project," the uncle continued, his smile wide, infectious, and she could only muster a tight-lipped stare. As he spoke, Emma's mind was in a whirlpool of thoughts. Had he ever considered her feelings, what this would mean for them? The warmth she felt while dancing had evaporated, leaving behind a chilling uncertainty. Lucas was out of her reach, yet she could feel him still trying to pull her in. The room buzzed with electric energy. People were whispering excitedly about the partnership, their faces glowing with anticipation. "Why?" she whispered as she turned to the bride, who was still beaming, oblivious to Emma's turmoil. "Emma, this is huge!" the bride exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "You're happy for them, right?" Emma forced a smile, feeling utterly disconnected. "Of course. It opens doors for both of you. It'll change everything." But Emma wasn't sure what everything meant. Would their paths now begin to diverge? Just as quickly as the spark of hope ignited in her heart, doubt snuffed it out once again. Could this new venture change Lucas? Or worse, could it change them? Finally, the uncle finished his speech, prompting a round of applause. The music reignited in the background, but even the lively beat couldn't replace the heavy weight in her chest. Lucas approached her, a determined look on his face. "Can we talk?" The crowd twirled around them, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside the dance floor. Emma nodded slowly, a mix of nervousness and anticipation tightening her stomach. "Over there," he nodded toward a quieter corner of the ballroom, a small alcove with dim lighting that contrasted with the wild production of the party. He reached for her hand, and she hesitated. But with a gentle tug, he pulled her through the swirling crowd. As they moved, she felt the whispers, the curious glances, as the world pulsed with vibrant life, unfazed by her inner turmoil. As they reached the alcove, Lucas turned to her, eyes searching. "I didn't know how to tell you," he started, his voice low, almost drowned by the bass of the music behind them. "I wanted it to be perfect. I thought you'd be thrilled." "Thrilled?" she echoed, shocked. "You're starting a company with your uncle and didn't think to include me?" "I didn't want to burden you. It's just business, Emma. I thought it wouldn't change anything between us." His expression softened, hurt flashing in those deep eyes that once radiated joy, but it felt like the earth was shifting beneath her, and she wasn't sure whether to anchor herself to him or let the wave carry her away. "Something is changing," she whispered, her heart pounding against her ribcage. "I just don't know what that means for us." And as their eyes locked, a silence settled, heavy and thick with questions. What lay ahead was uncertain, and the truth was still lurking, just beyond the dance floor. "What if I lose you?" Lucas finally whispered, fear breaking through his composed facade. For a split second, every fear they shared, every unspoken bond, crackled between them, resonating through the air. But with uncertainty swirling around them, Emma's mind raced, trying to find the words to ease the tension. That was when the clock chimed and the lights dimmed even lower, surprising them both, reminding everyone it was nearing midnight, the cusp of new beginnings and unresolved endings. What choice would she make when the final song played? Would it bring them together or tear them apart? Emma felt the gravity of the moment pressing down, and every heartbeat emphasized the looming decision ahead. Could she embrace what was to come, or would she find herself standing on the other side, alone? Emma felt a warmth wash over her as the brief silence hung heavy between them, pulsating like a heartbeat. The air crackled with unvoiced emotions, and she could see the earnestness in Lucas's eyes. The way he searched her face gave her a glimmer of hope, but it was buried beneath layers of confusion and doubt. "Lucas," she finally said, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. It's not just about the business. It's about trust, communication, our dreams together." Her stomach twisted as the words flowed out. "I do understand," he interjected, frustration bubbling beneath his calm veneer. "I thought this would be a great opportunity for both of us, a step forward in our lives. But it feels like you're stepping away from me," she said, her eyes glistening as her vulnerability crept in. "You're drawing outlines where I thought we had a shared canvas. It's like you're leaving you behind." He finished, a shadow of pain crossing his face. "Yes," she whispered. "I never expected to feel more alone when you're right here with me." The moment stretched into infinity, each second amplifying her insecurities. She knew they were at a crossroads, but the stakes felt impossibly high. The certainty of their past was pulling at her heart even as the uncertainty of their future loomed like dark clouds overhead. Suddenly, the vibrant sound of laughter erupted from the crowd beyond the alcove, a stark contrast to their heavy silence. Emma leaned against the wall for support, taking a shaky breath as she tried to collect her thoughts. "What do you want from me, Lucas?" she asked, closing her eyes briefly. "I need to know if this partnership is really what you want or if it's some race to be a version of yourself that I don't know." "I want you," he said firmly, taking a half step closer. "That S never changed. But I can't chase every opportunity and make it centered around us unless you trust me to pursue it." The weight of his words hung in the air. Could she really trust him? The once bright vision of their future began sifting through her fingers like grains of sand. "Trust doesn't come easy, you know," Emma replied, each word laced with cautious reluctance. "You have to understand how alone I feel in all of this." "I'm here, Emma," he said, his voice softening. "Don't you see? I'm choosing to stand beside you, even when everything feels uncertain." Her heart fluttered at those words, but the tense atmosphere still held her captive. Just as she was about to respond, an exuberant cheer erupted from the ballroom, the crowd welcoming the new hour with exuberance. The anticipation and excitement wrapped around her like a blanket, but it felt suffocating. "Maybe we need to step out together, face the noise and excitement," Lucas suggested gently. "Let them see that we're still united. I want to show you that I'm committed to both of us, this partnership, and you." Emma hesitated, her mind racing. As the clock struck midnight, the music brought an intoxicating rhythm back into the atmosphere around them, but her heart still felt heavy. "What if it's all too big?" she finally said. "What if we can't navigate this without getting lost?" "Then we'll find our way back," Lucas replied, a glimmer of confidence igniting in his gaze. "We'll create our own path, together. I need you to believe that." But as they both stood there, uncertainty swirled around them. Emma felt a desperate longing for clarity in an uncertain world. Could she really trust that this night wouldn't mark the beginning of a division instead of a connection? With the party now entering a new phase of raucous celebration, she knew she had a choice to make. Could she step back into the world, hand in hand with Lucas, knowing that risks came with it? As she wrestled with her thoughts, she caught sight of the crowd once more, laughter ringing out and couples swaying in harmony. At that moment, everything felt like a balancing act, teetering on the edge of hope and fear. The question laced with doubt and promise echoed through her mind: was embracing the unknown a leap of faith worth taking, or would she regret it forever? "Let us go," she whispered, widening her eyes toward him. "But I need to know we're in this together." With a nod, Lucas took her hand, but Emma couldn't shake the lingering feeling that the beat of their hearts would soon be tested in ways neither of them could foresee. As they stepped back out into the vibrant chaos, the moment felt charged with potential. Hope and trepidation intertwined as she wondered just how deep the ripples of this choice would go. What if this night changed everything or nothing at all? The crowd's energy enveloped them as Emma and Lucas stepped into the ballroom, hand in hand. Colorful lights danced across the room, illuminating joyful faces and swirling skirts. The laughter seemed to invite them in, wrap them up, but Emma felt a gap still yawning between them, pulling at her heart. Lucas squeezed her hand, a silent reassurance amidst the fray. She glanced sideways at him, and for a moment, that fierce connection flickered back to life. He flashed her a smile that was both warm and hopeful, igniting a flicker of courage in her chest. "Let us find a place to stand," he said above the music. "We can watch. Just you and me." As they navigated the sea of jubilant partygoers, Emma couldn't shake her anxious thoughts. Would this be the night they would move forward, or would they float apart like balloons released into the sky? She could feel her heart racing, each beat echoing with the weight of her feelings. They found a quieter nook near the bar, where the raucous laughter felt muted but still vibrant. Emma leaned against the polished surface, watching people dance and toast under the sparkling chandeliers. "It feels like everyone is in sync," she said, her voice barely audible beneath the pulse of the music. "Yeah," Lucas replied, his gaze focused on the couples twirling in front of them. His expression softened as if he was lost in thought. "It's beautiful. Just like the balance we can have." Emma's stomach dropped. "What if it's all just for show, Lucas?" The fear wove through her words. "Everything could fall apart on the first wrong step. Or we could surprise ourselves," he countered, his tone firm but filled with warmth. "It's about finding our rhythm together. We just need to trust each other." She turned to face him fully. His confidence was infectious, yet doubts flooded her mind. What if trust couldn't be built on good intentions alone? "I wish it was that simple," was all she managed to say. "Hey," Lucas reached out, brushing his fingers against her cheek. The tender gesture sent a warmth rippling down her spine, although uncertainty still clung tightly to her heart. "It can be simple. We're strong together, Emma." In that moment, she saw it, the flicker of possibility igniting in his eyes. She wanted to step closer, but fear held her back. What if this night opened doors she didn't want to enter? On the other hand, what if it led them to discover a new path? Before she could voice her thoughts, a burst of music shifted the atmosphere. The crowd parted to welcome a twirling bride who glided onto the dance floor, her gown billowing like clouds. Gasps of awe and delight filled the air. This was an extraordinary wedding, and every glance was filled with a sense of magic. "Let us go dance," Lucas urged, his voice filled with excitement. "We can lose ourselves in the moment." Emma hesitated. The thought of dancing terrified her, and yet what if it became a memory they could cherish? What if this was the turning point they needed? I don't know," she stammered, feeling the tension bubble within her. But as she watched the bride glow with happiness, something within her whispered a dare to take a chance. "Come on," Lucas urged, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "We'll make our own kind of magic." He was pulling her in, coaxing her to step into the rhythm of the night and their shared potential. Emma took a deep breath, weighing the moment. Could she really step into this dance, this life with him? With a surge of resolve, she grabbed his hand tighter, squeezing hard enough to feel both their heartbeats sink in unison. "Okay. But if we look ridiculous, you owe me ice cream," she joked, trying to break free of her nerves. "Deal." Lucas replied with a laugh, clearly relieved. As they stepped toward the dance floor, Emma felt a mix of exhilaration and fear. Could they truly dance through their uncertainties, or was this merely the start of a more challenging rhythm? As the music swelled, everything felt charged around them. She caught a glimpse of shared laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the glances of other couples, all part of a world. Bustling with potential, Emma tightened her grip on Lucas's hand as he led her onto the dance floor. In that moment, she couldn't help but wonder if this was where everything would finally change, or if this was just another step on an unsteady path. Would they find their way, or drift apart like fallen leaves? The beat of the music quickened, matching the pounding in her chest. Was this the beginning of a beautiful new dance for them, or just another twist in a complicated story? The music throbbed through Emma's veins, each note igniting an electric energy that swirled around her and pulled her right into Lucas's orbit. Together they navigated the thrumming dance floor, weaving between couples who twirled and laughed under the flickering lights like stars caught in a dizzying spin. With each passing moment, the worries hovering on the edges of her mind began to blur, a kaleidoscope of laughter and joy eclipsing her fears. Lucas gave her a playful twirl, and for the briefest second, she felt weightless, her heart echoing with exhilaration. Laughter bubbled up, cresting like waves, and Emma couldn't help but let it out, her worries dissolving into the rhythm around them. Emboldened, she leaned in close and whispered, "Is this what losing ourselves feels like?" "Exactly." He grinned, swinging her back into the dance, and the room exploded around them in cheers. In that vibrant swirl, for a glorious moment, nothing else mattered. Past doubts and future obligations faded like the distant murmurs of a forgotten song, but, just as she was feeling completely liberated, Emma searched the crowd and spotted the bride again, her eyes shimmering with a mix of expectations and oversight. Would she see Emma now, not just the waitress but the woman daring to dream? Then, just as their laughter reached a peak, she felt Lucas slip slightly away, a flicker of concern flickering across his face as he glanced at his cousin again, the bride. "Emma, wait!" With a quick, purposeful action, she pulled him back. "Lucas, we stepped out here together for a reason. You're not leaving me, okay?" The urgency in her voice cut through the tension, reminding him of their shared promise that he seemed to shake off the hesitation, his gaze steadying back on her. "Right. No more running." His reassurance filled her with power. Together, they charted their own course, seeking to find their rhythm amidst the chaos, and to make something beautiful from the uncertainty surrounding them. As the music shifted to a slower melody, Emma moved closer to Lucas again, her body melting into his. Every insecurity, every doubt faded away. This was their moment. She could feel the warmth radiating from him, and finally let her heart open to the possibilities ahead. With Lucas's arms around her, she surrendered to the music, swaying against him as whispers of hope wrapped around them like a gentle embrace. "You know," she breathed as the crowd melted away, "if we face things together, maybe we can make it work." "Yes," he murmured, as deep blue eyes bore into hers, alive with authenticity. "Together." And with that, they began to dance, moving in harmony, two souls navigating a world steeped in uncertainty but filled with warmth. Each step echoed their lingering doubts but also their shared resolve, and the energy around them shifted. The applause erupted once more as they opened their eyes, laughter spilling around, uniting them with the crowd in a collective joy. Emma's heart fluttered. This was not just about wealth or status anymore. It was about connection, acceptance, and love born not from titles, but from the raw truth of two lives weaving together. As the night unfolded like a beautifully unraveled ribbon, Lucas leaned in and whispered, "Let us create our own adventure. Starting now." Emma felt tears prickling her eyes. "I'm ready, Lucas." Their smiles broadened, and as the song reached its crescendo, they spun together into a swirl of happiness and renewed promise, dancing into the uncertain future not with fear, but with courage and hope. Their joyous night, once ignited by a mistaken invitation, had transformed into something profoundly beautiful. They understood in this vibrant world, it was their shared journey that mattered most and that true connections would light the way, illuminating all paths ahead. Hand in hand, they stepped into the unknown together, certain of only one thing: whatever awaited them, they would cross that threshold together. This is your moment to seize. Don't miss the next incredible stories by hitting that subscribe button now. Leave a like to show your support and help spread the word, feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Comment below with how this ending made you feel, because your thoughts matter, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support keeps the magic going.